Just drop those over there and I'm going to do the introduction. Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Alana Afro Butterfly Whitaker, and as you know, this is Digital Green Book. This is an educational tech startup, but I love interviewing people on the side because there's so many amazing people in the community doing so many amazing things. As you know, my passion is Web3. I'm a retired registered nurse and I've delved headfirst into the Web3 space. And along my journeys, I've met so many amazing people. Tonight, for you, I have the amazing Carlos Acevedo. This young
Hello.
man is a specialist in building out metaverses. So, some of you may be asking, what is a metaverse? What is a universe? This is very confusing. I don't understand what's happening. Well, Carlos is here today to demystify that for you and to sort of lay out how intricate it is to build out virtual universes for individuals. So, thank you, Carlos, for being here today. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Pleasure being here.
That's so
Yeah.
awesome.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's so awesome. I really want to fully let the people know who you are. So when it comes to something like building out virtual universes for people, how did you even get into this space? What made you want to do something like that?
Oh wow. Well, I got to tell you, this journey started back in about 20 late 2016, early 2017, right?
Mm,
Where I was traveling. I used to have a role as an SAP trainer, right? It was a
mm,
contracted job, and it was a lot of traveling, right?
mhm,
So, in my travels around I'd say mid 2017, I was in Philadelphia, right? Early
mhm,
20, like around March, around there, and it was snowing pretty bad.
mm,
So
mm,
then I was in my hotel room, like, what can I do? And then the Oculus, I had a regular headset. You could put your phone, and I saw VR, and I'm like, this is the future, right? So then
mm,
we fast forward a little more. I purchased the Oculus Go, which came out in early 2018, right?
mm,
And then I experienced it. However, one of the things that I experienced with the Oculus Go, I said, "Oh, this is great. This is where we're heading as far as communication in the future."
mm.
Because if you rewind the clock 25 years ago, you'd say, if you tell everybody, "Oh, we're going to be communicating through this. This is where we'll live now," people will say you're
Right.
crazy, right? Not so crazy now, are we? Right? So
No, it's probably the primary mode of communication. Even as a nurse before I retired, we were doing virtual surgeries with people halfway across the world.
Jeez. So basically, and that doesn't surprise me. And then basically from there, um, I got the Oculus Go, and I said, "Wow, this is the future. This is where communication is going to go. This is how we're going to do it." Because 25 years ago, well, 20 years ago, 2000s, we had Web One. Web One is the internet, right? Remember, everybody wanted a website. Oh, you got to have a website. Got to have this. Blah 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 blah. And everybody was in the big craze, and then like 2002, 2003, 2004, right? And 2005, it was all website, 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 until something came out in 2005 that kind of introduced us to the early steps of Web 2, social media. It's called MySpace, right?
Mm.
If you remember MySpace, we had Tom from MySpace, the generic, I think like the founder, he put himself in there. And then from there, we pretty much started getting the whole explosion of social media, where to the point now we're at, do you even need a website anymore? You can just have an Instagram page, a Facebook business page, a one pager, and that's it, because we're a generation of simplicity, right? Videos, live streaming, Zooms, things like that. But then
Mhm.
around 2017, around there, 2016, 2017, well, more like 2013, VR started getting to the experimental stage, but it didn't become mainstream until 2019, around there. So thus
Mm.
introduces us to Web 3, the metaverse, which is virtual spaces. So by 2018, I remember getting the Oculus Go, and then I said to myself, wait a minute, I want a better virtual experience, something even more. So they had a special in Best Buy where if you buy a laptop, a very powerful laptop with a GPU in it, a very powerful card, they'll give you Oculus, the Oculus Rift, the first one for free. It's included. So I was like, cool. So I did it,
Hmm.
and you had to put sensors in the hotel room and actually scan the area. It was such a pain to set up. But then that's all she wrote. I started deep diving, going online, meeting people all in programs like Altspace VR, VR Chat, Facebook Horizons. Before we had Meta, we actually had Facebook Horizons, which was a different
Hmm.
thing. It was only 4 people in one room at the same time, and you could draw. You could. I still have videos of that from 2018. And then I started learning more. Virtual
Hmm.
tours, 360 media, this, that, how to build. And I taught myself now 18 different softwares, and I'm still actually learning. I'm actually going to enroll in Miami-Dade College's program. They have a magic certification called
Oh, wow.
Miami Augmented Gaming. uh, I forgot the rest of it, but it's for VR. It's specifically a certificate in VR AR development, right?
Wow. I didn't
So
even
it
know they
makes
had that.
I didn't know either. Somebody pointed it out to me, but then I'm going to register my company for it because, like, about 10, 11 months ago, I opened my company, Event Horizon Virtual Experiences, and
Yay.
I specialize in everything Metaverse, basically 360 photography, video, interactive models, scanning, people, objects, digital preservation, digital twins, and of course, building virtual spaces. Now, this video you're putting up here, this is part of my educational program where I actually I was an ESL teacher for about 6 years, licensed, and I'm an adjunct
Hmm.
professor part time at Miami-Dade and Atlantis University in the business department. So as far as teaching English as a second language, it was, I used to do it privately as well, part time for extra money while I'm building this up. So now I said, let me cluster in both worlds. Now I'm offering students to learn English in VR in the metaverse.
Mm.
Now, how what's
Wow.
the advantage of that? Because as a teacher, I used to teach high school and I
Mhm.
teach college level. When
Mhm.
you remove the educational environment and you go to 2D, the learning, the learning cognitive part of your brain, it literally is capable of like up to 80 to 90% less learning because now the learning environment has been taken from you because you're not in a
Mhm.
classroom. You're only limited to a screen. So your dog barks, this, that, your outside environment is now in control, right?
Hmm.
Versus in a classroom, you're surrounded by the education environment. It's just you, the students, it's that. And the very minimal escape we have is a screen. But now the tables have turned. Now the educational environment is a screen. So now we're competing with that. Virtual
Mm.
reality tech eliminates both the complications of remote
Hmm.
and brings back the classroom environment because you're in the classroom again and you're at home at the same time. So it's the beauty and the best of both worlds. Plus,
So because it engages all your senses again, it takes people who were struggling with remote learning or didn't have the ability to be in the classroom, or maybe even as we all experienced in the pandemic, you weren't in that immersive environment
correct.
learning with the teacher. Now you're separated out somewhere at home. But if you use these tools like the headset and you engage your hearing, your sight, the tactile sensors, you're back in that classroom setting again.
Correct. It's the classroom setting has been given back to us using this tech because, but in this case, the classrooms are built out like this room here, built out, and any virtual environments are also built out by myself, through what I do. So basically, from there, we pretty much put it in a sense where we can build our university or our room because the thing is that when the classrooms are built out you could just go inside them and then you could program it in a way where the instructor can use assets in the classroom again and write on the board, launch a screen in front of you. If you're studying about the planets, I could spawn Mars in front of you. You could walk up to it. All right, and then here are some virtual spaces that I built. So this is a remake of the Cobra Kai Dojo. If you know the Netflix series Cobra Kai, right? So
Yeah.
this is a funny story. So I built this thing from scratch entirely. I can actually go inside there. In fact, part of the clip you see me working on the bag in VR. So This space I was contracted to build by Failed to Render Comedy, who's doing very well right now. I mean, they have a comedy show on the Metaverse, and they're partnered with Keenan Thompson from SNL, and they just recently had Howie Mandel visit their virtual studio in Altspace. So they actually had Brett Ernst, who plays Cousin Louie on the Netflix show Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
So Cousin Louie, right? I don't know if you watched the show. He came in there by Failed to Render to go do a show, and then Failed to Render said, "Hey, Ace, could we contract you to build out the meet and greet after, but we want to do it somewhere special." So I remade the studio, and Brett Ernst went in there, and he was like, "Oh my God, what in the hell? This looks like the one." He said he was going to tell Ralph Macchio, Zabka, this, that. He even added me on Instagram and gave me 2 tickets to a show in Doral, which I attended. And he introduced me. He goes, hey, this is the virtual guy. He built a virtual thing of the Cobra Kai, man. This Babadook here, he's intelligent. He went like all Jersey on me. So yeah,
No,
so
this is pretty amazing. As someone
thank you.
who
Oh, there I am.
like the level of attention to detail, like I can see the light refraction on the ceiling as though
Yes.
you're moving through it. That's quite impressive.
Yeah, that's a intricate procedure. There's my ad. I put on all my models. That's a procedure we call light baking. So and then there's my logo at the end of all my display videos. But one of the things is that with this one, this is a spatial integration with my latest client, Cardinelli Auto Group. I did their Volkswagen VR experience. But part of the package that I include is integration with software that allows you to enter the metaverse on your phone, on your tablet, or PC, or even VR. This way, everybody who can't get their hands on a headset or haven't yet, they could just go on their PC. I could literally send you the link, and you could literally join me in there.
That's impressive,
Yeah,
Carlos. I
and
already knew you were impressive, but it's undeniable the level of attention to detail that you've put inside of these different metaverses. And the cool thing about a metaverse for me is you're curating a very specific experience. Like the first time I stepped inside of VR, I literally had to keep checking to make sure that I was not inside of my living room. But the games that I was playing, I had the Oculus Quest 2 was my first Oculus. Like you had a much more extensive history in VR than myself. Um I was in all of the tutorial, just trying to get my bearings with the hand sensors and throw the paper airplane and
yeah,
all that.
yeah.
And then thoroughly impressed with some of the various games and things that I went through. But a lot of the games are fantasy games, so they took me to another universe, but they were very distinctly not of this world. What I'm looking at here with the things that you've created, this looks like I can step outside and see what I'm seeing because, of course, the clients that you're contracting are asking for very realistic things. Have you done fantasy work as well, or is your specialty?
I have no. I do. I build what I'm guided to build. For instance, this building is an actual design model of the official Volkswagen building. That is actually, this is how all the Volkswagens pretty much look like, the dealerships. So this is theirs, right? And they're building it, but I built them this experience because they go in there. And the cool part about Spatial, why I chose it, is that you could connect your MetaMask wallet, so you could even buy NFTs directly from the place. So there's actually some galleries that I'm building that I'm going to mint as NFTs. Plus, there's another program called the Monaverse, which is the first where you commit directly NFT spaces, and I'm through my company, I'm building NFTs there. Like this space right here, this is an NFT. This is a Miami Heat fan experience gym that I built, right? And this, everything that you're seeing, I built from scratch. It literally came out of my head. So I saw some pictures of like a gym.
Long? How long did it take you to do this?
This one took about 24 days, 25 days. So there's some
And
cool.
when one contracts you to build out a very specific space like this, is that an NBA Top Shot?
Yeah, I make those. But that's not a top shot of the NBA. That's a top shot of this graffiti artist named the Sim 305, who he hired me to make a virtual experience, which is a virtual tour, which is another thing that I do. It's called virtual tour rendering, and I did that. I'm doing that of his work because he's gonna actually debut it at an event, right? He's going to debut it at an event, all his work, and I'm actually invited because as the person who created all of it, like the showcase. So I made that top shot in the metaverse of all his work, but I could pretty much top shot anything really, practically
And then,
anything.
so the cool thing now, like bringing this back to the practical, like, of course, Web3 for most people who aren't really familiar with what it is exactly, um, it's a learning curve for them. They're learning new nomenclature, new glossary, new terminology first to just understand the space. And then there's a lot of sub pockets inside of Web3. You have dApps, so the decentralized apps. I'm trying to use less jargon in my interviews because there's a lot of people who watch who don't have that common shared language.
Of course.
Of course, you have permissionless blockchains, meaning you can go in and you can approve transactions, smart contracts very easily. Of course, you have things like Metaverse. This is a virtual universe that has been created, and you can access it either by watching it on a hyperlink just like this, or it's best experienced inside of a headset and with some adaptive gear because it gives you that immersive feeling. It
Yeah.
engages all of your senses. And if you've never played inside of an Oculus or any other VR headset, Oculus is just a popular one. There's tons of other headsets that you can use to engage with this software as well.
Yes.
It feels so realistic when you're inside of them. And one of the main critiques of most VR to date have been it felt very janky, felt very 2D, very Roblox, if you will. The
Yeah.
quality of what I'm looking at here looks like the environment that I'm in. So it's quite astounding, actually. It's quite astounding.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah, no, and that's one of the things I go for. Oh, look, this is the if you actually click on the top shot link of his thing, that's the virtual experience with that avatar. Actually, that's me moving as what I call a virtual curator, a host, and that's an experience. I actually have 360 high def cameras that do experience, and then I code everything in there, and I digitally preserve or render like his art on graffiti. So now he has a 3D version of it in case like it rains or somebody defaces it, right? So this is called photogrammetry. So you see that? I digitally preserved it, right? And I could display that in a metaverse and like if he wants like his own museum and things like that. And then here I actually embedded the top shot into the virtual tour. So when you click on it, it gives you the rendering of the kind of like top shot thing. So that's another thing I do with the metaverse, and it's fully VR compatible. So and oh, this one's cool. I created that jersey, right? Because I model digital clothing as well. But when you click on it, right, you can actually purchase the jersey right from the metaverse space. And like you said, what I like to go for is realism. One thing about metaverse building, I like to go for realism. So I do all the work, the rendering, the texturing, retopologizing for space. Look, I made those arcades to give it that kind of like that look. And the Roblox and the sandbox stuff is all, pixelized. It's kind of very low
Archaic.
poly.
I mean, no, it
Yeah.
gives a nostalgic feel, but it doesn't make you feel like you're using cutting edge technology.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that you're not because those web-based things right now are not there. It's getting better, but the thing is that people have to recognize is that game engine backing is where it's at. A lot of the builds that I use, I built in Unity. Oh, here's the car dealership in the VR space, in full VR, so you can see like the more detail in it than the web one.
You can see the popcorn on the ceiling. That's crazy,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, texture baking, texture because in 3D modeling we use things called maps, right? So you have the texture map was the texture, the normal map, which is like the bumps or things like that. A height map is to give it depth, and so it goes on even more detailed. I don't want to get too much into it, but a lot goes into it to give that detail. The light baking to give the glow, right?
Hmm.
To give it, like, you see in the corner how that glow is actually emitting light,
Yeah.
right? And when you go in there, that's what gives it the realism, the light baking and everything. So you can actually go in there in VR, click on each computer, and it takes you to their website. So you can be like an agent in VR, have anybody from the world meet you in here, and you could conduct a car deal.
It's like you would actually, so we keep hearing about the other criticism that I've heard is it sounds like a fanciful dream, but a lot of people hear about jobs in the metaverse. But when you're literally transporting all of the elements from the IRL in real life physical world into the metaverse, everything from light, depth, shadow, clickable elements, computer stations, desks, like you literally could be a whole car salesman.
Yeah, and the thing is that a lot of the skepticism, because I get it all. Oof, I get all the skepticism. The what if? No, this won't be. Some people are saying, "Oh, this is just a fad." I go, "No, this is the way we are going to communicate moving forward." 25 years ago, I remember. I'm 42, so I remember this. I remember people saying, "Oh, no, no." I remember verbatim a friend of mine, her telling me, "Nobody's gonna just talk through a thing. People like talking in real life." And look where we're at. See, here's the thing: is that this, because now this is giving us more. I mean, imagine now where the workforce, because this probably would have trended as much as it did right now, and the change would have happened maybe 10 years ago if it weren't for one thing: the pandemic. The pandemic forced our hand into a remote way of life, work, social, where now recruiters, I was literally talking to my friend Jennifer. Look, there I am right now. I'm actually walking in there and I'm about to go pick up a business card from the table, right? That I programmed in there of the group of the owner. And I can actually read the business card right on there.
That's cool.
Yeah, and the thing is, my friend Jennifer's a recruiter, says she's having the hardest time ever in her 12 years of recruiting because she can't place people because everybody wants to work remotely. Nobody wants to work in an office anymore because that the lifestyle of working in an office, of doing things physically like that, is currently on hospice. It's ready to go. It's on its last breath because the world is changing. And when you say no, that's not true and all that, you're going to end up the same fate as Blockbuster. Let's see, taxi cabs, all that. We as a society have always transcended to the newer tech, easier, more innovative ways to do things. We've only moved forward, and there's always going to be naysayers and all this that and doubters who will end up having 10 years from now everybody's going to have a smaller, lighter headset in their home. It's going to be standard, the same way we all have smartphones. Maybe
You
if
know
it,
what? I
yeah,
remember all the different iterations of phones that I've had. It started with 9 key for me. I don't know. Actually,
yeah.
I remember my dad having that big blocky one with the huge antenna. That was before I was allowed to have a phone. But my first cell phone was a
Look,
9 key Nokia.
these are
Um,
holograms. Oh, that's the gentleman who hired me, Mr. John Guru. That's his hologram in the metaverse, in the space. So if you actually go into space, he's constantly there playing his actual hologram.
how do you do this? So is does he come meet you somewhere, or does he
I
send you
record him.
footage in front of him?
Well, he would have to either send me footage or I record him in front of a green screen, and then I use in the game engine, I use an algorithmic coding called a shader, and this shader
Mm.
is made, for instance, does different effects. It makes lights flicker, it makes stars twinkle, it gives water its flow in 3D development design. In this case, this shader emitted the video, gave it a chroma key effect, the same way a chroma key is applied to a green screen to make a different background and things like that. So
Mhm.
the shaders scripted in order to do that. All you need is just the footage. So this is how we could have holograms here in the metaverse.
I mean, I could easily see that, and especially until avatars have caught up to that level of realism. They're getting much better, but I
Yeah,
the allure of people wanting to hop in front of the green screen and have that physical feeling of being in there, or even like let's say webinars, for example, record a whole webinar with them in front of a green screen as an individual and then put them in there so it feels like a real person. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
that's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
and the thing with that is that there are people who skepticize, and they'll say, oh well, I don't, oh, this is a theater I built in the metaverse for a group called the Cascade Theater to Performing Arts, and this is to encourage to have theatrical performances in the metaverse. I was actually involved in one in 2020 called Neverland Live VR, because I'm also an actor part-time, and I actually found it intriguing, and I actually went out for the role of Captain Hook, and we had the entire play in VR, and my avatar was dressed as Captain Hook and everything. We had 5 shows, 125 to 128 people in attendance per show.
Let's go.
Yeah, the whole show is on YouTube. It's called Neverland Live VR, the whole stream. And I remember the cast. The cast is from all over the world, but we met in VR to practice, have readings. We met in the space to practice our lines, everything. And for instance, the gentleman who played Shmi lived in Virginia. The person who played Peter Pan was this young man, and he lived in Kansas. Captain Hook, me, is from Miami. So it doesn't matter where we were. We met in the metaverse. So part of that, this group was inspired by that and said, hey, could you build a theater for us? So they contracted me, and I built this place, which is a lot more detailed than the theater we use for Neverland Live, which is pretty good, but this one is more like, whoa, it's very realistic. It has about 205 chairs, so 205 people can actually go into the space, and instances of about 50, and actually attend a show in the metaverse. This is a lifestyle. I've just gotten into it, and I still live it. So this is very. A lot of people say, "Wow, this is amazing." Now this is just common for me, and it still amazes me.
I could see the practical applicability of any entity, any school, hospitals, concert venues, even people who want to have their own private venues for, say, social clubs, or
Yeah.
I could see it. And
Yeah.
this is the wave. That
Well,
is
and
very detailed.
oh, thank you. Oh, here's the theater. So I use the comedy tragedy icons as lights instead of having regular lights. So they're actually emitting light. So the lamps and that are what's doing the reflective light probe bouncing in the theater. So now the cool part is what you said about education. Like, for instance, for my educational program, the students enrolled, if they ever want to study outside of class time, they could actually log in, and there's a center that's open 24/7, and in VR they could go in there and practice this, that, study, whatever. It's always open, right? So they'll have access to a VR world, only them, through a code, and they'll be able to meet in this center, this virtual center, together and study, work on their stuff whenever they want. They could meet at 2 in the morning, text each other, say, hey, let's meet inside the center to study for the presentation. They could literally go in there and host a room and do it in the metaverse. Now, isn't that much better than just a regular Zoom?
Much better than a Zoom, and you actually get the immersive experience.
Yes.
My question will also be, so you did touch on how you can either access this via headset or online as well. Do they have the full ability to move around if they're accessing from desktop?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. All this is PC enabled as well, where you can actually go in here and on PC just move around. Oh, look, here's a group that I asked to come inside, and they're doing a mock performance, right? And they're actually clapping. This is Altspace VR, and see how they're clapping, sending up the emoji, saying, yeah. They're all sitting down. The 2 actors are on stage, so they're going, yeah, this is great. This is awesome. So that's them. They're actually, and then the camera's vibrating because I'm clapping as well. Now they're going off. They're exiting off stage. One's going backstage. So you can have full interactive shows in the metaverse. I put all this in all my builds. It's just my promo.
Might as well. If you build it, you better put your your tag in there.
Exactly. And there's my company logo there, lit up in neon lights, light baked. So yeah, it's fun doing this because people ask me, what do you do? I said, I build worlds. One of the things that I do. I build worlds. The cool part is that This one was a special project that I'm still working on with the owner. This is the Be Crystal Clear Sound Bath Studio Center that existed in Santa Monica, California. The
Mm,
the lady who hired me for this project, right? She
mm.
actually owned the center, but during the riots in 2020 in Santa Monica, it was vandalized severely, along with like some shops in that same block. So she lost it. So she
Oh,
couldn't get back to business. So now it's a gym. So when I she contracted me, she sent me pictures, just pictures of the place, and I recreated it for her. So when we both stepped in here, now that part, the extra part there, that's not a part of it. Just the main building. But when she went in there in the original building, she actually said she had to take off her headset because she started crying because it was like being back there. It was like, oh my god. So look, this is it. Like we stepped through that door, right? We stepped through that door. That's her on the wall, and this is built exactly the same design as the picture she sent me. Even the back, the stairs, and everything. So it was very nostalgic for her.
I think
So
that that's a probably an even larger market for people who have either lost physical functionability, lost their property, somewhere old cherished home, like memorialization of things. VR has a humongous application.
well, yeah. Imagine. For instance, imagine getting your home scanned because I also do digital twin preservation where I could scan a home, clean it up, and then 3D you can go inside it, like the digital, whether it's web or in VR, it's a scan of the home. So, or imagine you have pictures, detailed pictures of a home that was destroyed, like in a fire or something, and you could have it rebuilt in VR. That's very nostalgic for people. Look, you clicked on her watch in the picture, and it goes to her profile. Her name is Sugar. She lives out in California, and I remember I was in Santa Monica in Los Angeles because I was visiting another client that I built a conference center for them. Right, I'm still also expanding for them. So I've traveled for this. I've been to LA, San Fran, Denver, Detroit, soon Dallas for a conference, and I'm speaking at different conferences about what I do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What would you say is something that you still want to perfect in your craft in building out these universes for people?
Oh, everything, because I still have more to learn. Because the thing is that I've only been doing this about 5 years. However, I've seen my growth. I've only started taking profession. I opened my company 10 months ago, right?
Hmm.
But I was building up my craft, and I took small jobs here and there within the past, I'd say 2 3 years. And I've seen my improvement. But I opened my company 10 months ago, and I started taking professional clients because
Hmm.
I was satisfied with my own work where it was there, like about 6 months ago. And I'm only improving, so I'm getting better. Like the spatial IO option, I only just added this month
Oh,
because
wow.
now as the metaverse grows, there's other softwares for programmers like me to engage in because now I'm also going to be starting working in VR chat, Mona Metaverse, Sansar, Engage VR once they get back with me so I could get a corporate account with them to upload my custom designs on there and use their interface. So, but a lot of the stuff that I do is centralized. It's not decentralized, so you don't have to buy land or anything like that. Like these spaces, they didn't have to buy the land; they just paid me to build it.
So, do you feel that there's a benefit to that for it to be centralized versus decentralized? Because as we're talking about Web3 and ownership, we know that the technology is very new, and I'm sure in the future it'll edge more towards decentralization as users desire that. But could you go into a little bit, I guess, some of the pros of it being centralized?
Well, the thing is that I think the opposite. I think that the centralized is going to die out and be more of a centralized medium because the thing is that the whole thought of decentralization just came about where it's like the Wild West. Yes, you're not attached to a company service or protocols, things like that. You're free for all, but
Mhm.
just here's the thing: the decentralized spaces have the most scamming. Oh, I actually scanned her. I have scanners, and this is actually her. She posed for this. I scanned her and made a bust of her, so I can actually scan anybody and make like imagine making a gallery of your relatives scanned, and you walk on the metaverse. So I made her regular,
Slightly
but
creepy, but a great update from like traditional museum sculpture.
well, yeah, exactly, because that bust of her, I could have made it in gold, wood, metal, change the material, but I used the texture map from the scan to give it more real. But just imagine digitally preserving like your family, there's family photos. Well, how about have a family gallery with busts of your family members built? So, fun fact, a lot of people don't know this. My father passed in July 2020, unfortunately. But
Oh, I'm sorry to
about
hear that.
that's okay. But about a month. Oh, this is the day scene because she has a night and a day scene for it. So about a month prior, I scanned my father, right? Because my father was the best supporter of my work, so he was kind of like my guinea pig, in a sense. So I still have that scan. So utilizing that scan, I have this like dedication, like mausoleum virtually in the metaverse with that big scan as a statue, and then pictures of my father's history and things like that, and even like videos of him and things like that. And I only have access to that. There's only an access code. I show it to nobody because that's my special place to go see my father. I
That's
even
an entire business.
well, here's also the thing. His where we buried him, his gravesite, I also scanned it with a camera, so it's scanned in there, right? To show like this is where because it talked about his life beginning end because I want to capture every aspect, right? Because sometimes I can't make it out there. I could just talk to his statue, go over there, like I have, where we buried him there, pictures of his life, etc. So yeah, you're right. That is a whole other business, like a virtual dedication. Part of the
Yeah.
one of the things I wanted to get into was virtual wedding albums, where I could do a wedding gallery dedication for the bride and groom, even with 360 video photography, all this that. I mean, my business just doesn't just do this. This is what I mainly do now because that's what my main customer base is asking for. Like most of my clients to build metaverses, but I do the digital capturing, the scanning, 360 virtual tours. This is an interesting project. This is a podcast studio in the metaverse called Talking Ish, right? And this is
Hmm.
my podcast. I have a co-host and a DJ, and I built the space out because we record on here and we record the podcast episodes fully in the metaverse.
Hmm.
Yeah. So see, there's a picture of me there. And there's that's our old podcast. We used to have a talk show in the metaverse, right? And those are pictures of past shows. Now we go into the studio, and I mean, you imagine now having a podcast from the metaverse. So we're 5 episodes in. We haven't shot episodes in like about 2-3 weeks because I suffer from bad migraines. So I'm in kind of like hoping the tail end of a migraine attack. So because it sucks when you have migraines, you can't really put on the headset. It really, so they've been patient with me. But I have another friend of mine who actually purchased a Meta Quest 2 headset because he wants to do a podcast with me in the metaverse. So we're exploring that. But yeah, with what I do, it allows me the flexibility to do stuff like this because this is what I do full time now through my business, which is I've been blessed to do that because I've worked hard on my business and now it's allowing me to do, Oh, I put the Street Fighter game because our DJ is a big retro video game guy. So I tell, what's your favorite old school game? Street Fighter. So I actually built this arcade and coded the video on there.
So
So
he
yeah,
can play
so
Street Fighter.
yeah, if you click on the screen, it takes you to a clickable link to the ROM online to play Street Fighter. Yeah, it's cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I forgot to demo on this. Yeah, here's his DJ set that I built for him. His name is Blade Relic. He's a VR enthusiast. There's the mics that I built, kind of 50 style, the headsets. Right, you could grab all that stuff. I modeled everything. I made a cup for myself and my co-host. Right, and then of course I made myself into a Funko Pop doll.
That's adorable.
Yeah, I Funko Pop myself. So I can build anything in VR in the metaverse. Everything you're looking at, from the stuff I'm grabbing to the studio to the lights, every single digital thing, I built from scratch. Started off as like a little dot.
Do you have an architecture background?
No, my
That's
I have
crazy.
two masters in corporate management from FIU and international business from UF. And I only teach as an adjunct professor with that. I taught myself all this in about 5 years of 17 different programs. I just understand it. I get it. And 3D modeling itself, like I said, I'm only getting better. Like my designs are getting better, they're getting stronger as I'm going to this. But right now, my skills are at a professional level where now I can actually, sell these spaces, and I've been doing that so far. Here's the conference center for the Change Life and Destiny conference, where now you have the option of you could attend the conference fully in the metaverse. And they hired me to build this. They sent me the picture of the hotel and the lobby and everything, and I built it for them off the pictures. And they came in here and they were like, "Jesus, it's the same." Yeah, it was shocked. I'm like, God, I feel like I'm in the lobby of the place. So yeah,
That's
it's fun.
important though.
Oh, it's fun. I have fun. I built all these worlds, and sometimes the Miami Heat experience. If I want to get a little cardio and actually go in there and shoot baskets, like I have to stand up, and it makes my arm warm. Actually, I take this, and I'm there with the headset. I'm going, and you burn calories. You burn calories. So I use that space for that, but I'm actually gonna mint it as an NFT in the Monaverse. So
And
yeah,
how long did this one take?
this one took about 33 days because
Okay,
it
so the
was
average build for a large space with like functional capability and you can interact with things and it's very realistic is about a month.
more than that. I always put in the contracts 40 to 50 days because here's the thing, for like reviews, in case they want to change something, in case there's something I notice, I go, oh, I got to change that because I have not built something straight out and it's perfect the first try. There's always something to go back on. And, this is very sophisticated because any little, like for instance, in that wall arc, let's say if I'm off like a face or a digital information on there, it could make the lights like look weird, right? So when I light bake it and the lights look weird, I go, why is it doing that? So I allow for build time, it's like about 25, 35 days. But then I allow an extra 10 to 15 days to review, make sure everything, because these are clients who pay me to do this and they trust in my work and they love my work, to make sure they're delivered the final product exactly how they like it. And so far I've been doing well because I've been getting contracted work. Now I just signed the exclusivity contract. I have 10 guaranteed projects in the next year. So that's good for me.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. The next project I'm working on is for Cardinelli, the ones who signed me to the exclusivity, because they saw the future in this and they said, look, we don't want nobody else to do this. So for a year, you got to do exclusive for us. If it's auto sales in VR in the metaverse, it's just with us. So I'm like, all right, well, you got to promise me this much contracts, this much in it. So I made all the contracts and they signed it. And the next one I'm building up for them is Mazda. So yeah,
Got you.
yeah, they have dealerships in 4 states over on the West Coast, and they have all the brands. Right now, I'm building their Mazda one next. I should be done with that one by end of April, first week of November. End of October, first week of November. So I'm actually excited as I'm starting to build that one. I got to actually fly out to San Francisco to do the virtual tour part of the site. So we're scheduling that already. Be out there for like 5 days to do all that work and then come back and do the computer work. This is an NFT gallery I'm minting, so people can display their NFTs on the wall. So if they want to
And
buy the
so
galleries,
for these
what?
types of galleries, so a question I frequently get from
Sure.
individuals, um, for a space like this, what do they need to access it exactly? What if they don't have an Oculus? What are other ways that they can access it? And how can they display their artwork? How can they interact with this space?
Well, basically, they could get the code in VR. Basically, once they buy the NFT, they're given the access code in VR to access it, and then the spatial space where they can access it on PC as well. Right now, I know OpenSea and other places have mints for artists, but there's one that just came out called Monaverse, and Mona is specifically for 3D developers like myself to make spaces and mint them. I'm actually making one right now, and I'm gonna probably sell it for about like maybe 16,000 polygon, right? So people can purchase it there, and maybe like instances of 30. So I'm selling for that cryptocurrency. Then I might sell the other one for Ethereum, maybe like 4 Ether or something like that. The basketball one, the Miami Heat one, that's gonna go. I'm gonna mint that one and two other ones there as well. Yeah.
That's cool. So, another question I would ask is what's something that you think could go into a metaverse style that hasn't yet? You haven't seen it done yet.
Wow. Where do you start? I just got a client that might actually contract me to build. She has a jewelry store, right? She wants one in the metaverse. This one, a virtual conference. This is for Phi Theta Kappa International Honor Society. This is the VR metaverse version of their conference. People can, once they register, they can actually go in this and see what the conference hall looks like if they were to go in person. So yeah, retail, for instance, you know how they have Shopify stores?
Yes.
Well, now imagine having an actual store in the metaverse where you could go in, look at the shirts, point and click on it, see the sizes and things like that. But then it's funny because some people tell me, well, you still can't try it on. I go, you can't try it on when you're on the web either. So you have to order it. What's the difference?
Now
This one
that
at
would
least,
be cool if you could get that functionality, like to the point where their avatar
yeah.
is real, like you say, green screen scan them in there, so it has their actual
Oh, we're
dimensions.
we're on. Oh no, that type of, we're probably 10 years from that tech, maybe
Really?
8. Oh yeah, as far as real time, I mean, the closest thing we could do is we could scan the avatar and then put the digital asset on them. That's too much work and will be expensive. So nobody is going to pay just for that. But I mean, who knows? But the thing right now, what we could do is our avatar. You could see what the shirt looks like on your avatar. That's cool. But the thing is that initially you're buying the shirt to fit you, right? So that aspect still works. Now, the next best thing is you could see the shirt on a mannequin in VR. So you could actually, instead of just clicking on a photo and seeing the shirt or 360, you could go in there and look at the back of the shirt, look what the logo looks like shirt, and then you can even see the wrinkles of it on the mannequin because it's like draped over. Because if you saw the Zoe jersey, it had wrinkles because it's colliding to that metal mannequin there. So imagine seeing all the shirts and seeing products you can actually grab, and you click on a button next to it and boom, it's sent to your home. So instead of a Shopify store, you have a metaverse store,
I like that.
a v-commerce store, virtual commerce. Instead of e-commerce, a
V-
v-commerce. Yeah,
okay, v-commerce. I like
v-commerce.
that.
Yeah.
And I still think now you got me brainstorming now. Like if you had your own mannequin, a custom sized mannequin, what would make that expensive
Well,
to
the thing is, anybody can be a VRM, a virtual avatar. You just have to be scanned and then placed on the model, right? You'd
Mhm.
have to be scanned to do that. So that would be part of the it. Like these robots, I actually made for this experience for a client. These robots that you see here, and the animations I had to program it, like the guy at the bar, the two people sitting down. This is a 3-part experience called the Onassis Cinema and Welcome Center Observatory. So this is the first part, which is the Welcome Center. You can actually sit in those booths, have a chat, things like that. The second part is a theater, and the third part is an observatory with its own sun, a blue sun called the Onassis Star, which is based off the theme. So there's these two robots talking about whatever, and yeah, and imagine having a meeting in here, right? And it's in deep space. I've been in this room many times. I've given tours of this room many times. I feel like I'm in deep space when I'm in here.
how
So
many
yeah,
hours
so
a day are you creating?
probably like between 5 and 10. I'm always in front of these computers. Maybe that's why I'm having headaches. I don't know, but or could be
Yeah.
the yeah, it could be the migraines, but the blue light. But the thing is that I really love what I do, and it's just awesome doing this because it's it's so transcending because it's like a niche. It's like, well, what do you do for work? I build worlds. I digitize life. One of the hobbies I have is actually scanning things like monuments, items that I find when I travel, to digitally collect them so I can have in like my own little mausoleum and say, oh, this is where I was when I scanned this, and then have a label saying where it's from. So you collect things. I collect
That's a
buildings, items,
business.
statues. Yup,
Personal
people,
museums.
people. I had a joke. I had a friend of mine who told me, "Oh my god, man, you should scan all your ex girlfriends or people you've been involved with and collect them in a museum." I'm like, dude, no, that is sadistic, but a cool idea.
Well,
Yeah, I
I would
mean,
scan all my ex-boyfriends.
well, I mean, you can, but here's the thing, though. I'm not endorsing that. I'm not endorsing that.
I don't miss
Viewers.
all of them, but I miss some of them sometimes. So.
I mean, imagine walking in your own virtual mausoleum in the metaverse, and there's a bust of them. How you remembered them scanned, because these scans are very realistic. Like you could see the pores and everything. You could just say, "I remember you." You know. Oh, look, there's the sun I added. So there's that
My
robot
brain
looking
went
out.
all the way left.
But yeah, but this technology is incredible. I'm telling you. Like, see, there's the sun. I actually programmed and added that sun in the background, the star. So you're in deep space. This is the third part of this experience in the observatory, and it's an actual star. You got the robot there looking at it too as well. So this is a three-part experience. This is the Onassis Observatory, and yeah,
How long did this one take?
this one took about 41 days, and this was probably one of my first projects. And this project was it was a lesson learned project. Why? Because I used to have a clause in my projects where you pay me when it's all done, but now I do it in parts, two or three, because the owner here kind of was like a little skeptical in the whole payment process. So I had to kind of you know tell him, hey, we have a contract. I could take you to court, this, that, and he paid me a month late, and that's when I released the space to him. So he was. I haven't had no problems. I've had maybe like 14 other projects since then. I've had no problems just with that one. I won't diverge any names, but the thing is that you run across that, but now my contracts are more detailed, and when I start a project, I get, if it's depends on the price, it's either split in two or three, but I'm due something right at the signing of the contract. That way it commits them and me to the whole project.
So, have you considered smart contracts?
No, I wouldn't need it because the space is not digitally tokenized. It just belongs to them. The smart contracts would be if it was being turned into an NFT. Now it's their space. They could smart contract it and make it an NFT if they want. It belongs to them.
No, I almost mean like so you both it's the upfront agreement, like just a legal document in smart contract technology.
No,
Um,
no, not really, not needed. Just a regular working contract through my business is just fine and is holding and binding. My contracts. I had a friend of mine who's a lawyer. Look at all my stuff, and she's like, "Wow, this is impressive. You typed all this. I have binding agreements, exclusivities, non competes. All the clauses needed. I have like about 38 different files and pages, contracts, templates, are all ready to go. So I protect myself full fledged, and I let my clients know. Oh, this is the VR MedX Speaker Center. So this is kind of like the theater,
is
but
this a
now
play
it's
on TEDx?
yes. So this is to inspire those type of speeches, but in the metaverse. So this was off the same template because this is the one that came first, and the theater came second, and they wanted it the same template. So I don't usually do that, but because they really wanted it, and I gave them a fair price for it, I had to change the whole thing and did it. But it's first started off as this, the VR MedX Speaker Center. What I like about this one is I went with an intricate design, and on the wall outside, there's different celebrities on the wall. I don't know if you saw that.
Mm.
So yeah, I think maybe you have to back it up a little to see it. But yeah, you see that? Pause.
Mm-hmm.
So see, you see, they got Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, Paul Simon. You got Steve Harvey, you got Steve Aoki, you know, Warren Buffett, Morgan Freeman. So as you go along the wall, I made the animated version, and then I used the shader to blend them into that digital background. So when you walk in there, you're looking at all these celebrities in there. You have flyers in there explaining what the space is about in the information section. So imagine attending a speech in this space, right? So this space was built out for that based on theater. This space is going to be an NFT. So I'm actually going to mint this space on Monaverse and sell it probably for about maybe 25K Polygon.
That
So
makes
yes,
sense.
yeah. So a full virtual speaker center to actually have speeches in. Oh, this is another thing that I do. This is a rendered virtual tour of the space because I do these in a package. I don't just build the metaverse space. I also include this where you can actually go and here you actually point and click, right? You
Ah,
click and drag around. It's a 360. Right, go.
got you.
Yeah, go back to the last turn around, go all the way around. Go all the way around. Click on that icon there, front entrance. All right, now click on Mr. Guru right there. Click on the.
Hey, I'm John Guru, and welcome to the brand new Cardinelli Way
So
Metaverse.
it's programmed holograms that you click on and they talk to you,
Uh,
guiding you through the whole experience. So this is the metaverse space, except this is a technique called rendering, where I have to program it differently to turn it into a click experience to introduce you to the metaverse space. And it's also VR compatible with point and click, but it gives people like I could look on this on my phone or a tablet. Plus the one that it's like a package of like 4 or 5 experiences all rolled into one. That's how I package my builds. So it's a lot of work.
I see. So, because I remember looking at this on one of your earlier YouTube videos. So, when you're working with a client, of course, it'd be whatever they commissioned, but you build it out on this as well, teleport me, and then also inside of alt space or another
Yeah,
platform.
AltSpace VR or VR Chat or Engage, Spatial.io for the web metaverse experience, an on-site virtual tour because there's a virtual tour I have of me on site with my special. I have high-end 360 cameras. I have an Insta 360 Pro 2, and this is a $5,000 10K 360 camera that shoots in spatial 360 very well. It's used by professionals. And then from here, I program that, and then I do the this experience of the space. So it's like my packages come with like 4 in 1. So
There we go.
yeah, and I price them fairly. So I price them fairly, and because this keeps me working for like about 31 to 35 days, and if they do this package like they did, this is like a 50-60 day project, like 2 months. See, look familiar?
Yeah, this is the Miami Heat one.
Yeah, but now you can see it in full 360. Now that's rendered at 16K that you're looking at.
You're talking about the definition level.
Yes, that's 16K. So this on a 16K screen, which I believe you can only special order those from Japan at like if you want like even a 40-inch 16K, you need like $9,000. But you could see this very beautifully on an 8K. It will look great as well. But if you click on the flaming heat icon, if you go back there, you click on it, you can move through the space.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. And things like those icons, they're not part of the original space. The billboard on top of the neon sign on top of the arcades, I actually rendered those in through chroma key, so they weren't part of the original space. I just made those LEDs. See, there's the box. If you click on that box, you can actually order heat tickets to go to one of the games. Very cool, huh?
That's pretty freaking cool. Yeah, no, this is very cool.
Yes,
And I think people need this sort of experience to be able to play around inside of these spaces
exactly.
because it's like in theory they don't even have the language or know how to ask.
No,
It- you know?
because yeah, because here's the thing. That's why I included these in my packages because it's like the intro, right before putting on a headset, right? Like a MetaQuest 2, like I have here, and going in there. I have like 6 headsets here in my office. So this is the see, I could code 3D items even in real spaces. Like that spinning my logo is not part of the street there. This is in Wynwood here in Miami. I think that's where we were hanging out with Jerome. Remember? Yep. And this is where his art is. If you actually go more over to the right, this is the Sims art. Right, I did 3 pieces for him, and this is still evolving because he's actually contracting me as he gets more of this art. So I did the first 3. I think I have still like 15 to go. So this is an ongoing project I have with him, where if you click on the middle area there, he actually did the graffiti for that. And then if you click where it says 3D rendered scene design of space, if you click on that, I actually rendered it on a digital scene. I created that scene right there with the actual people, all that. That's all fake. I actually created it. So that's what's called a rendering.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then you could do 360 drone because I also do 360 drone photography and video. So where you click on the link, you can see 360 video on a drone, 360 photo, right? Because I have my Part 107 drone license, so I needed it because I do a lot of capture for like buildings. I needed a high-end drone.
Especially because of all the airspace down there.
Well, yeah, because the thing is, okay, this is another location where his other piece was at that I had to drive to, right? So this is called. Well, go back one, turn around and go back one. It's not showing well because I think the connection because you have to let it load.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta let it load. There you go. There you go. Now, if you scroll over to the left, there you click and drag and go left. See, there's the Top Shot thing, and see, I could put photos and videos on that. So, like, imagine doing one of these with like your favorite moments or dedications or pictures, and actually having it as an NFT. Click on that for me.
It's
So
coming.
double click. It should
It's
be.
coming. Limitations of my.
Yeah, there you go. And then if you click on that, this is the rendering of it that I did.
It very much gave me that essence. Very much
Yeah,
so.
because a lot of people saying, "Wow, man, you can make Top Shots." I go, "Of course I can." How do you think Top Shots are made?
How
Yeah,
long does it take to make one of those?
that'll probably take me like maybe like 6 hours.
So, what sort of technology would you need to more rapidly make these universes that you make?
Oh wow. I have the latest tech. It's more not really on technology. It's more on you know limitations.
Manpower?
Power. Yeah, because I'm only one person. My company is one employee, me, the CEO. Uh, Now later on, I hope to expand, right, and get more employees and things like that. But it's very difficult to find people who know specifically how to do all this because I studied various different techniques for metaverse building, photogrammic digital capture, 360 capture, shader creation, texturing, rendering. This is over a five-year span that taught myself all this, and now I'm fluent in like 17, 18 different programs. And like I said, I'm going for the magic certification as well, and associating my company with the VR ARA, which is actually there's an actual association for virtual reality companies all over the world they can join. So because I'm not the only one
Mhm.
worldwide, but there's very few of us right now. Will that be the case later? No, absolutely not. As the metaverse, gains
The
popularity,
first thing the first thing that popped into my mind was how they capture uh almost like Oracle solutions, but you know how like they capture in real time. You know how you see the Google cars and they have the camera on top and they're just capturing
yeah.
street data en masse. Like, what would be the equivalent of that for you? Like, if you had just a steady stream of real world data feed to use in your renderings, what would Like my brain is just going all over the place right now.
I'm trying to kind of get your question. What do you mean as far
So you
as?
know the car. So say you look at Google Maps.
Yeah, yeah. They take 360 photos for Google Maps, right? That's literally they use high end cameras for that. I actually have a high end camera called the Insta 360 Pro 2, but
Hmm.
it wouldn't be beneficial for me to put that on top of my car and start taking photos. But as far as that is that I can go to places and take photos of it and render it into 360 virtual tours. Like I have a virtual tour of this section of Hialeah, Florida, where I live in, aerial, because I flew the drone and then I took 48 pictures with the drone in a spherical fashion and stitched them together to make a perfect 360. I had to go through 5 batteries to do that, and it's like 7 different locations because I would drive to the other location. So then when you point and click, it's like you're an aerial tour of Hialeah, things like that. But now there's tech out there that I have where I can attach a camera to the drone and it records 360 video. So it's a video fly through. Imagine going through Biscayne Bay or under the bridge and then going into your headset and seeing as if you're in the drone going, oh my God. So, uh,
What sort of camera or what sort of drone is that? Because I have a DJI. It's a Mavic Air 2, but
oh well, that's what you need. Like I have one of my drone. I have 5 drones. One of them is an Air 2S. There's a camera called the Insta 360 Sphere where you attach it, and it's called an invisible drone camera because it'll take the 360 video and not show the drone. However, you have to know how to stitch the video, correct for do the gamma corrections and everything for full 360 kind of video flight. The cool what I've gotten into recently, and what I'm actually one of the things I'm working on now because I'm working on a side project. I'm gonna NFT is recreating pop culture spaces. So
hmm.
I'm actually recreating so they could be used as a gallery. The arena from the 1988 Jean Claude Van Damme movie Bloodsport. So I'm actually recreating the arena where they had the Kumite, where it could be NFT and you could have that as your gallery. So imagine displaying your NFTs and you're like, wait a minute, I'm in a scene from a movie, or a
That's
structure from a
really
movie.
cool.
Well, yeah, and I'm actually constructing it now because I work like about 5-6 hours on a project and then do like about 2-3 hours on like my own side stuff. And sometimes I'll do it some days, like because this is just me. Because I'm gonna mint this, and I'm gonna sell it on the Mona Metaverse, um, as an NFT because people go like, "Oh, wow, it's a scene from pop culture." My next one that I'm gonna do, believe it or not, is gonna be the Max from Saved by the Bell.
Ah.
So imagine your NFT gallery that you buy minted is the Max from. So you could sell your NFT art in there and tour the metaverse in there. You're like, wait a minute, I'm from the Max to Saved by the Bell. That's cool. So I mean, you saw the Cobra Kai dojo. So then I started getting these ideas because if I can see it, I can build it. So I've been watching the movie Bloodsport, uh, hitting pause and go, okay, that structure, the wood is a little bent. Like I'm very detailed.
That I could see the practical application in that for almost any pop culture thing because whether you're building out Wakanda, whether you're building out like there's just so much
Oh,
practical
that would be
application.
that would be a huge. I don't think we have the tech to build on something as vast as Wakanda. One thing about is the metaverse is that you could do open Rome, open world, but it just depends on the size of it because we'll
Mhm.
as the tech increases, then you'll start seeing more immersive metaverses. But it still doesn't. It still doesn't ignore the fact that this is the way the world is heading. This is the way the world is heading, no matter what.
Why don't we have the tech to build out something like Wakanda? When I think of games like Zelda, you know how expansive they get with their world maps,
Of
Final
course,
Fantasy, basically taking the expansiveness of gaming as we already know it, but using that same thought process to build out our universes in that way. Like why do you say
let
we
me
don't?
let me rephrase something that detailed with a lot of people in it. So because when
Yeah.
people come in, that's data that's being streamed and bandwidth buffering. So
Mhm.
we don't have right now kind of the server capacity to do
Mm.
something like as detailed as like a Wakanda, that vast, and have people that free open world, and have people just go in like Ready Player One. If you remember the movie Ready Player One in 2018,
Mm.
that's set in 2035, the whole 2039, where now they have something that vast on a visor. Next week, no, in 3 weeks, October 11th, Meta
Mm.
is having their Meta Connect event, and they're
Mm.
announcing the Meta Quest Pro, which is their new headset, which kind of looks like ski goggles. They're 60%
Mm.
lighter than the Quest 2 and 5 times more powerful. But it's
Is
gonna
this an
be
in-person event?
no. It's gonna be streamed. There's gonna be people in person over there because it's in California, but they're gonna stream it. And
Where in
Zuckerberg
California? Because I might fly out for that.
really I could send you the link if you just type Meta Connect. It's October 11th. Man, I would love to actually attend that myself. So because that's the beauty about what I do is that I'm what we call a digital nomad, right? A digital nomad is somebody who works remotely and can work from anywhere.
Ah, I found it.
You found it? Yeah. You know what?
Ah,
You just
Mark
gave me an
Zuckerberg.
idea. I might attend as well because I actually do have the time for
Because
to
why
attend.
not go in person? I mean, you literally,
Yeah,
how
because
cool is that?
well, this new headset is aimed at enterprise. So this headset is aimed at people like me who have businesses in the metaverse, who detail their businesses with the metaverse, because it's not gonna be consumer price. They're looking at a price tag of like between 900 and 1200 for it. But it's gonna
That is
be it's
consumer price now. That's what the average
well
person
yeah,
pays for an iPhone or an Android.
it's and thank you for segueing to that. That's my next point. I always find it so laughable when somebody says, "Oh my god, but to have that is expensive. It's like 400, 600, 800." I go, "Dude, you have one of these. This is my iPad Pro. This was
Exactly.
15 This is a 2020 edition. This was 1500 back then. Maybe now I get like 900 for it. I don't really upgrade this. This still works for my needs, but this this right here, this alone, this is the 256 one. This is like about, I mean, look it up on apple.com. This is without the contract and all that to finance, this is like $1200, right?
Exactly. So I mean,
So
that is consumer price now, especially.
yeah, you're right.
So people will buy this. People, come on, people will
Well,
buy this.
imagine, because the thing is, later on, what they'll do is like you could take phone calls on your headset through the site, things like that. Imagine you could answer like with the Quest 2. You can answer your Facebook messages because it's connected. So when somebody messages me
Exactly.
on Facebook, I go, oh, okay, I'm in VR, this that, and it shows my status is in VR. So the thing is that you're right; these are consumer prices. But here's the thing: is that people don't fathom that is because people are not really into VR. And remember, everybody's still on the craze of this. Fast forward 10, 15 years from now, it could be 1200 and all that. People will still buy headsets like we buy iPhones because it is now widely adapted. VR is not widely adapted. Phones are widely adapted because this is the way we communicate. We have to have our TikTok. I said TikTok. We have to have our TikTok, our Snapchat, our Instagram. This is how we communicate. WhatsApp, this, that. This is the way the world functions now. We live in here and we don't even know it. But we pay top dollar for it because we have to have it. So once this tech is widely adapted, we will see, because as they get thinner, because look, the headsets are a little bulky now, and people always tell me, oh, they're so bulky. I go, yeah, but it's only been literally about 5 years till it's brought into consumer since the Rift V1. If you remember the first cell phones, they came in a briefcase and this
Yeah.
big block, and you have to carry it and it weighed. Like, give it
And people bought them.
time. And people
People
bought
bought
them.
them.
But you got to give
I
it
still
time.
have my um the when they were originally doing iPod for
Yeah.
music. It was the size of basically now my Note 20, and
Wait,
it was
wait,
thicker.
wait 15 years from now.
It's just going to
VR
be
headsets,
glasses,
it's just going to be glasses, little thin visor, very light. You can even,
maybe contact lenses.
Imagine people on a train commuting and just talking to people, having a headset, and then watching a hologram of somebody or playing chess with somebody in there in VR, things like that. Yeah, here it is. Here's MetaConnect. You can watch it in VR. So I'm actually going to register to watch it in VR myself because they're probably going to have a 360 camera there. So I think that'd be cool to watch it in VR because with your headset, it's like you're there. So I think that's cool.
I still want to pull up and have a conversation with Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, I don't know if you even get to talk to him. He's Zuckerberg because it's like
I don't know. I have good luck. I don't know.
okay. I trust your judgment, but yeah, I mean, there's a reason. There's a reason why Zuckerberg put all his chips on this tech. When he said it, I was like, brilliant, brilliant, because Facebook was his company. Now he turned Facebook into a product, right? Now he took Facebook into a product and said, now my company is Meta because I'm all in. He's all in on this, the metaverse. He is all in. And one of the things about him is that he told himself, he goes, he sees that because
Mm-hmm.
he sees what he probably saw years ago. And there are people come up to me and say, Ace, you called it, man. You called it. I go, you called it back in 2017 when you told me. Because back in 2017, I was telling people, this is how the world is going to communicate in the future. It's going to be in virtual spaces where this is how the world is now going to be connected. Virtually inside, right?
How close do you think we are to smooth, smooth gameplay, like highly detailed gameplay? I've played in Metaverse. I like Echo VR. Of course, I've done Beat Saber,
Yeah.
but like seamless. Almost like I wonder if they're going to have adapted gloves instead
Oh,
of the
haptics,
game.
they're working on that. They're working on all of that. You got to give it time. I'd say maybe 10 years from now, 12
Why do you keep
15 to
saying
play it
10
safe.
years? I don't think it's that far.
Well, here's the thing: is that the adaptive tech on how long it'll take to create, adapt, mobilize, and then public adaptation. Because just because there's new, like for instance, this type of tech's been around for 5 years. Why is all the craze now? We're
I
very
think the
good on.
acceleration curve, though. Okay. We'll put a pin in this, and I'll put a bet on it. You say 10, I say 2 or less.
Oh no, no. Remember, I'm in this industry. No, there's no way. I will put all my chips that in 2 years.
Oh,
It will not. You gotta remember, the only reason we're talking about this now as a big buzz is all because of one thing: a virus. If it weren't for the pandemic, none of this would still, we wouldn't have this conversation now because, or I wouldn't have as much business as I have now because people would still take longer to adapt. The only reason why this tech is now in the limelight is because we had our hands twisted and forced into this technical lifestyle that caught the attention. If it weren't for this, we probably would be talking about this maybe 5, 6, 7 years from now, like this, and it would be 2027, 2028, and we're having, wow, the metaverse is cool, this, that. But because of the virus, it fast forwarded all that to now because we were forced to go remotely. First was Zoom, and then people say, wow, remote is cool. Wait a minute. Oh my God, there's a way to work in a virtual space as if you're there and still be remote? Yup, it's called VR. That's the only
I'm gonna
reason
still say two
why we're
years because
okay.
it's like just like the pandemic accelerated that, looking at the health curve of certain things, I don't think that's out of the cards again. And I think that'll be another hyperbolic acceleration of that. So
You
I'm gonna
uh
still
you
say 2 years.
That's fine. You seriously overestimate public adaptation. This stuff is, you got to remember, this stuff is still scary for a lot of people. It will not be 2 years where this is widely adaptive, where there's one headset in every home. No, I'd say even a shot in the dark sooner, 8 years, because there's too many factors. The tech has to be there. The headsets have to get a lot thinner, and we won't have the capability for that. Definitely not in 2 years. Definitely not.
Hmm.
You're talking about squeezing processor. I mean, how long has cell phones been out, right? We can't even squeeze a processor in this, and we got to make headsets thinner than this because we have to wear these on our faces, adapted to eyes. And we still haven't done that in the 15, 16 years it's been out. So there's no way that in 2 years it will be widely adapted like that. There's too many factors that have to happen for VR, wide adaptation of VR.
If you had to
No
put
way.
your hat in the ring for companies that you think might get that tech done fastest, which two companies are you betting on?
Uh, Meta and also HTC. Meta and HTC. But there's companies like Lenovo, and then the people who have Pico, right? Which Pico is only available in Japan. A lot of people don't know about that headset, like Pico Neo, Pico 4. They just announced the Pico Pro, which is going to compete directly with Meta. But here's the thing also. I want to also comment on this. When I say 8 years, 10 years, 15 years, that's us. 4 years, Japan, China, they're see, a lot of people don't realize I've gone to conferences in the metaverse hosted by the Japanese. Right there you go. There's the Pico 4. That was actually just announced today. And the Pico 4 and the Pico 4 Pro. And they literally want to compete head on with Meta with this headset. So I've attended conferences in full VR where I had to sign up to get a translator because there's companies over in Japan, right? They already have v-commerce stores. They already have this, that. They live this lifestyle. Here in the US, it's 2022. Over there, it's 2042. Just putting it out there.
That's why I say, so I'm not even, when I say 2 years, I'm not even necessarily betting on America. I'm just betting on.
No. 4 or 5 years, Japan. Every household, it'll be common where they have a headset and they go, because here's the thing, they adapt better, like they're more adapted to tech than here in the States. Here's the thing. In Japan, China, those areas in the Far East, they see all of this and they say, wow, that's amazing. It makes sense. I'm just saying it. They get stuff a lot faster than we do here. They get stuff that's obvious and that works and it's innovative. We go, maybe, ask so many questions and are always playing catch up. That's the truth with everything tech. That's the truth. And unfortunately, that's the truth. Should it be that way? No, but that's the truth. Because here there's, like for instance, people put regulations here, like Congress is trying to regulate crypto. I've heard that they were trying to regulate Ethereum. Here's the thing: when you try to control, when you have in this country groups that want to control and want to stay in there, and they see a change that could balance it out, they put a stop to it. Cryptocurrency is that opportunity to tip the scales. They don't want that to happen. They don't want that. I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to say subconsciously. We all know who, but they don't want that to happen. In Japan, it's not like that. They widely adapt it. They have their own infrastructures for it, and they're ahead of the game. They've always been ahead of the game. They continue to remain ahead of the game. And in this, with VR, AR, they will be ahead of the game once again. They already are.
They even have comparison specs sitting up here. Just they don't even care.
No, they don't care. They're going. They went head on. These guys said, "Look at our product compared to Quest 2."
Per eye. They got specs down to the eye.
Could you send me that link?
Yes, I can.
Yes,
and the refresh rate.
Yep.
That's crazy.
They don't care. They wanna. They're taking it right. They're taking it right to Meta, saying, "This is what they sell. This is what we're about to sell. It's better." Yeah.
Bigger RAM.
Yep. It is an awesome headset. The Pico is an awesome headset. However, it's not sold here in the US. You have to special order it to get it here. I know somebody who owns it who lives in Michigan. You special order it from the site in Japan, and they ship it over. You got to pay the shipping, but still, it's an awesome. I actually may get the Pro edition of it I don't know. I have to look at the MetaQuest Pro and that to see which one I'm going with. But
I
you
mean,
know,
it's the same price too. It's the price comparison is equal because this is in pounds, so euros
yes,
rather. It's that's the same,
yeah, just about. Yeah, but you can see is that
but it's
worldwide this.
better.
Oh yeah, and this is the way. This is where the world is heading, moving forward. Here's the thing. I'm looking at this right now, and I actually need to like. I have 4 Quest 2s for my education business because one of the things my students get once they enroll with me, they get a Quest 2 as a loaner, right? And they sign off on it, and we provide the headset. And while they're enrolled, once it's by 6 month contract. Once it expires and they don't want to resign, they have to return the headset. We inspect it, and if it's good, then we accept it and everything like that. But they're financially responsible. They say if they break it, they got to pay us the $400. But other than that, we provide the headsets for them, and I'm looking to buy more. But now that I see the Pico 4, I don't know. I may order some of these because it has a bit more capabilities that will allow for better experience. Even though the Quest 2 is great, a better experience for immersiveness and power in the metaverse than the Quest 2. I don't know. I got to compare and contrast.
Does your friend in Michigan have any zone restrictions playing with it over here?
I don't know. I didn't get that detailed into
I
conversation
would
with you.
love to know because if not, then I think I want one.
That's a good question because I will be interested because if I'm going to pass these out to students because my program I'm doing ESL, teaching English as a second language, and I'm only doing it it's 12 hours a week, 200 a week, 800 a month, which is very affordable for the students, which is equivalent to like $13 an hour, right? And they're
Mhm.
taught in the metaverse. They go into classrooms. They have full access to a center 24/7. They live that digital lifestyle. I record new footage so they could go into an amphitheater and watch 360 footage, and the teacher can utilize that. And I'm actually hiring a teacher for it, and I program all their items. Like if they want to pick up a billboard, go into a new classroom, if the teacher needs a document itemized, so to pass it out so everybody can use it in the metaverse. That's going to be my role as I hire this teacher. So I'm still looking to enroll students. I just haven't found that marketing niche to get into the market here in Miami to enroll
Do you have a
students.
link for the program?
I have just the videos and what I have on my website, and I have some flyers. So, but
Okay, so
what's tough?
build out a vanity URL, and then we can start talking to people.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, because I'm here promoting in the city of Miami because here in Miami ESL is big because there's a lot of people from Latin America who don't speak English or want to speak English well, right? And I've as a private ESL instructor as well as working for a university, I've taught one-on-one via Zoom, and they paid me 25 an hour. So they will literally pay $12 less, and they get to do it in a virtual space. Where I mean, imagine if you have to separate into groups, and imagine you're in the metaverse and a student's talking to you next to you. You have to actually turn and go, "Yeah, no, this is a great class," or look behind you. "Oh, hey, what's up, man?" Or say hi to your friend over there. Yeah,
That's pretty cool. You
it's
you do a lot of things. You really do a lot of things
yeah.
and a lot of amazing things. And for those of you watching, please plug in with Carlos. Clearly, he is a wealth of knowledge and a very talented individual. I can't believe we've been talking an hour and a half. That's crazy.
I know.
That's crazy. But thank you so much, Carlos. What's something that you want to leave the people with as far as your personal philosophy about VR and where you think it's going?
I think it's the next way of communication. We are literally in. I believe we're in an awesome moment in history, and what I want to leave with everybody is that it's coming. Our generation is a part of it, right? Those who are I'm 42. Those who are of my age who are fortunate to see the past and how it's been. To see that evolvedness from Web 1, Web 2 to Web 3 has been great. But this tech also belongs to the next generation, our kids, basically. I mean, you have 10, 12, 13-year olds coding in Roblox now. Their generation is the one that's going to build this metaverse out to what it's going to be. Not us. They are. Some of us, like, you have to really get into like what I do. So I'm helping out with that. But it's going to initially belong to them. Anything I build and all that, it's going to initially fall on their hands or go on example, make it better as the metaverse comes. The same way the first phones were adapted and made, and iPhones and Samsung Galaxies, etc. And it's gonna just be a big wave. Just prepare for it. It's coming.
It's already here, and the fact
Oh
that
yeah,
we have people this talented already building out universes, it I think the only thing we need is adoption, mass adoption, and it's here. Thank you so much for being here, Carlos. I
awesome.
look forward to having you on again in the future, and I'm rooting for you in everything that you do.
Last question. Could
Yes.
we get a screen share of like one of my builds, and I want to take a screenshot and put on my Instagram that I
Yeah,
was on this
of
file, if
course.
that's okay, and we'll pose.
Sure
Right?
thing. Let me
Yeah. And what's the name of
go.
this podcast? Digital Green Book.
Yes, sir.
All right, awesome. Because I want to tag you on it because I want to. It'd be
Thank you
cool.
kindly. And I'm gonna send this replay is going to be directly available on LinkedIn as well. And it's so you can reshare it within your network to promote your business. And it's on
Nice.
YouTube as well. Yes.
Absolutely nice. Yeah, and then what we could do is, I guess, hit pause right here. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
go right there, and then I guess we could pose for this. Let me see. I want to pose for this picture. So there you go. Ready? One, two.
Yay.
Awesome. Thank you very much for
Yay.
having me.
Perfect. And that's my IG handle right there on the screen. Afro
Mm-hmm.
Butterfly 1_.
Afro
All
Butterfly
right.
one underscore. My IG handle is Charles underscore Ace. I guess I should have put that. So yeah, I should have.
Let me
I
see
should
if
have
I
put.
can.
Okay, can we change it?
No, no, no. Let me pull up Instagram on my computer.
There you go.
Instagram.com/Charles
Yeah.
underscore.
I'm always open for new jobs, so in case anybody watching, wants something built out in the metaverse, I can do it for you.
Please. There
That's
we
what I
go.
do.
That's you.
That's me right there. My company one is at Event Horizon VR, so that's my personal one. I put a lot of my stuff, but they integrate. So I'm going to be putting some new stuff coming up soon to my company one and this one. So yeah, be on the lookout.
That's pretty cool, man. All right, y'all. See y'all on the next broadcast. You stay right there, right quick. And